Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're talking about a literal game changer for financial education, the long game. If you're a teacher or a district administrator, you really know how incredibly tough it is to teach real financial literacy. Well, this frictionless simulation is built to solve that exact problem by making high school students actually feel the real-world weight of their decisions.
So let's just dive right into the core challenge here. How on earth do you teach a 16-year-old to survive a 37% market crash? I mean, you can't exactly just hand them a textbook and say, good luck. Reading a chapter on risk simply cannot simulate that sheer psychological weight, that absolute panic of watching a massive financial drop in real time. Traditional methods just kind of fall flat because, well, they teach the math, but they completely miss the emotion of investing.
The solution to that problem comes down to one number: 20. That is the number of years of real money, adult financial decisions that this simulation guides your students through. They aren't just sitting there learning a concept, they are actually living out 2 full decades of earning, investing, and dealing with wild market volatility. They go through the boring years, the tempting hot stock tips, the economic shocks, and the brutal crashes.
Now, here is the absolute logistical genius of the whole program. All of that, 20 whole years, is compressed into exactly 12 standard class days. So one class period equals one simulated year or phase. You don't need some special block schedule. You don't need a massive semester-long detour. It's this perfectly packaged, immersive experience designed to just drop right into your existing curriculum without skipping a beat. And the golden rule driving those 12 days, it's beautifully simple. Time in the market beats timing the market. Throughout the simulation, students are going to constantly feel that itch, that urge to jump in and out, chase the next big windfall, or just panic and sell everything. But the program is specifically built to prove, both mathematically and experientially, that discipline outlasts every single clever attempt to time the system.
Okay, so how does it actually work in the classroom? Every student plays as one of 4 distinct personas. You've got Marcus, he's a late starter with just $3,000. Danny, who has an employer match, Tyler, a strong builder, and Priya, who starts with a massive $35,000 head start. But the real genius of the long game is that all 4 of them face the exact same 20-year market sequence. By the end, they see firsthand that a late starter can build actual wealth through steady investing, while a huge lead can be totally squandered if you panic. Discipline dictates the outcome, not the starting line.
Now, for the overworked educators out there, and I know there are a lot of you, here's how you actually run this day to day. It's an incredibly simple 4-step loop. Step 1, you just open the guide and read the daily framing out loud. Step 2, the students work through 2 short blocks in their live workbook. Step 3, they complete a decision log, which actually forces them to write a counter-argument to their own choice. And Step 4, you collect the journal. That's it. You need absolutely zero prior investing background to teach this.
Honestly, it is a masterclass in zero-friction design. For district administrators and teachers, this program literally does the heavy lifting for you. Zero prep. The guides are completely read-aloud ready. The scheduling is super flexible too. Like, if you have a snow day, students just pick right up where they left off. Grading is incredibly light because the workbook auto-computes all that complex compounding math for you. And since it's individual play, no messy team logistics to manage. It just scales seamlessly.
But there is one major overarching rule for the instructors out there, and it's a big one. Do not name the behavioral patterns before day 12. As a teacher, your guide is going to tell you exactly what psychological bias the students are falling into on any given day, but you have to keep it a secret. The whole power of this simulation relies on pure discovery. The students need to naturally feel the pull of those bad financial habits. If you warn them ahead of time, you totally ruin the lesson.
So here's what's actually happening under the hood. On day 1, students unknowingly experience hyperbolic discounting, basically treating the distant future as unreal, so they put off investing. Then, boom, day 7 hits, the market crashes 37%, and loss aversion hits them like a ton of bricks. They will desperately want to panic sell. They ride these invisible behavioral pulls all the way until day 12, which is this thrilling aha moment where you finally reveal the scientific names of the exact biases they've been fighting against for 2 weeks. So, what are we ultimately teaching them through all this chaos? It all boils down to this signature capacity: navigating uncertainty. The simulation defines this not as having zero fear, because fear is totally natural during a crash, but as the habit of holding a sound plan through volatility you cannot control. We are completely shifting the focus from trying to avoid risk entirely to sticking to your long-term plan when the screen is just flashing red.
And looking at this from a district administrator's perspective, this isn't just a fun, engaging game. It rigorously maps to strict graduation benchmarks. Just take the revised Ohio 2025 learning standards, for example. Day 1 hits compounding and time value. Day 7 covers investing and risk. Day 9 dives into risk management during a financial shock. And Day 10 explores good leverage versus bad debt. It covers the exact mandates schools are required to teach, just completely seamlessly woven right into the narrative. Plus, because the workbook handles all that tedious mathematical grading, the teacher is completely freed up to evaluate actual critical thinking. The long game gives you 4 criteria-based rubrics. You assess the daily journal for honest reasoning. The decision log checks that they're citing actual numbers and acknowledging flaws in their own arguments. The signature capacity rubric tracks how well they handle that uncertainty. And finally, my long game plan serves as a capstone project. So grading becomes deeply focused on cognitive growth rather than just checking if they got a math equation right. And all of this builds to a massive, massive emotional payoff on day 12. Think back to day 0. Before the simulation even started, students sealed away their predictions about how their 20 years would go. On day 12, they open those up and compare that fantasy to their actual reality. The script literally tells the teacher to say this brilliant quote: "The gap between what you predicted and what happened is the most useful thing you learned." It's this profoundly reflective moment where they realize how their own human psychology gets in the way of their goals.
Which brings us to a final, vital question. Are your students truly prepared for the emotional weight of their financial future? We can teach them the math all day long, for sure. But until they feel the sting of a market crash and the temptation of a hot stock tip, they just aren't fully equipped for the real world. For district decision makers and teachers, the long game is a frictionless, out-of-the-box tool that bridges that exact gap. It leaves a lasting impact that a standard lecture literally never could. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to see how this simulation can completely transform your classrooms.